Hi there, welcome to Cybersecurity Dojo. My name's Dave, and in today's video, we're going to discuss a fundamental cybersecurity topic, the CIA Triad. We're going to cover topics from what the CIA Triad is, to why it's important to understand regardless of where you work in security, and we're going to break down what each pillar of the CIA Triad does, and how they relate to cybersecurity. Stay tuned, all that and more, coming up. The CIA Triad is a fundamental model that guides cybersecurity practices. The acronym CIA stands for Confidentiality, Integrity, and Availability. And these three pillars are one of the most important concepts in cybersecurity, as it represents the core objectives of cybersecurity and are absolutely crucial for protecting data and systems. You can think of these as three essential ingredients for any holistic security strategy. It forces us to consider all three aspects when designing and implementing security controls. Now that we have a basic understanding of what the CIA Triad is, let's dive into each one of the three pillars and discuss what each of them do and why they're important to cybersecurity. First up, we'll start with the C, which stands for confidentiality. This pillar is all about keeping information private by restricting it to individuals or groups who the information is intended for. This pillar is critical for protecting sensitive data like personal information, financial records, or trade secrets. Think of a doctor's office protecting a patient's medical records, ensuring that only authorized medical staff can access them. Or perhaps a bank safeguarding your account or financial information, preventing unauthorized access to your financial details. Common methods used to ensure confidentiality include encryption, access controls like file permissions, user authentication, and role-based access to ensure only authorized personnel can view specific data. They could also use data masking so characters in a string of text are less readable, much like when you're typing in your password. Additionally, this pillar goes hand in hand with something called the principle of least privilege, a concept in security where individuals are given permissions only to the information or systems that they need to be able to perform their job and nothing more. Confidentiality can be compromised through means such as hacking, data breaches, or data leaks by authorized users, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally. Next up, the I in CIA, which stands for integrity. This pillar is all about making sure that data is accurate, complete, and free from unauthorized modifications. This is essential for maintaining trust in the data and ensuring that decisions are able to be made based on reliable information. Let's go through a few examples. First, let's consider a patient's medical records. It's crucial that information contained in medical records, such as diagnoses, medications, and test results, remain accurate and unchanged, because any unauthorized change could have severe consequences for the patient's health, such as allergies to certain medications. We could also think about a company's database containing customer information, such as addresses and contact details. It's important that this database remains accurate and consistent, as errors or unauthorized changes could lead to things like delivery issues or communication failures. Common methods for ensuring data integrity include things like file hashing, which is essentially creating a digital fingerprint for a file by running a mathematical computation to assign a unique value that theoretically no other file could have. We could use things like digital signatures and use version controls for software revisions. This pillar is violated through things such as data corruption or unauthorized modification of data. Last but certainly not least, we have the A in CIA, which stands for availability. Now, this pillar is all about ensuring that authorized users can access systems and data reliably when it's needed. This pillar is critical for maintaining business continuity and ensuring that employees can perform their job duties effectively. Let's think of a couple of examples of why availability is important. First, let's think of an online banking system that needs to be highly available because customers have a reasonable expectation of being able to access their accounts, transfer funds, or pay bills at any hour of the day. The bank is going to use equipment to add levels of redundancy in case there is a component that suffers a failure, such as having a secondary server that can take over if the primary server goes down, and perhaps even a load balancer to help distribute network traffic between the primary and secondary web server. This hypothetical bank could also very likely have a disaster recovery plan in place to recover from an incident quickly in the case of a system failure. We could also think of an e-commerce site like Amazon. Much like the bank we discussed, they're very likely going to have these same controls in place so they can ensure their services are accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because customers expect to be able to shop, track orders, and manage their accounts at any time of the day. And if their website were to go down or customers couldn't access their services for whatever reason, Amazon would be unable to make any sales and would be losing money through these lost sales during their downtime, not to mention the reputational damage the downtime would cause. Something else to keep in mind from a business perspective with availability is the concept of service level agreements, or SLAs for short. This is a contractual agreement where an organization agrees to have a specific level of availability for their systems or services. Therefore, continuous monitoring of their systems is extremely vital for ensuring they know exactly when things go down and they can immediately begin resolving the issue to meet contractual agreements. Now that we have an understanding of what each pillar of the CIA Triad does, let's talk about how they're connected and rely on each other, and how a weakness in one can impact the others. While we were focused on breaking down each pillar individually, the CIA Triad isn't just three separate concepts. Instead, they're extremely interconnected. A strong security posture very much requires a balanced approach to all three. I like to think of it in a few different ways. First, I like to think of it as a three-legged stool. One leg on the stool is weak, the entire structure is going to be unstable. For example, if confidentiality is compromised and unauthorized users are able to gain access to the data, they might be able to modify said data, which violates integrity, or knock the system offline. Or perhaps data integrity is compromised. It may affect availability through corrupting data and make the system unusable. Because of this, an organization really needs to strike a balance between the three different pillars, as focusing too heavily on one aspect can create vulnerabilities in the others. The other way I like to think about it is like as a slider. You can make things super secure to ensure confidentiality, but you're going to be sacrificing some of the usability of the system, making it less available. The inverse is also true. You can make something extremely accessible, but it's not going to be very secure. We'll wrap this section up with an example of how the three pillars work together. Let's consider a hospital's electronic medical record system, or EMR system. It needs to ensure confidentiality to protect patient privacy, but it also needs to ensure integrity to maintain accurate medical records, while also maintaining availability to ensure that healthcare professionals can access patient information quickly, especially during emergencies. Understanding these interdependencies is essential for cybersecurity practitioners. It helps us in conducting risk assessments, designing effective security controls, and responding to security incidents effectively. I'd also like to take a moment to mention that security certification exams like CompTIA Security Plus and ISE Squared CISSP exam love to ask questions about this topic to ensure that you understand these concepts because of how fundamental it is. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video on the CIA Triad. If you found this video informative, or you would like to see more content like this, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I will see you later. Take care.